Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving into one of the most incredible biological construction projects you can possibly imagine, the building of the human face. It's a story of choreography and precision that happens long before we ever see the world. So let's jump in and see how this whole thing comes together.
It's a question that gets right to the heart of who we are, isn't it? Your face is your identity, but its origin story is one we all share. So how does biology take what's basically a blank slate and sculpt something as complex and unique as your face? Well, let's find out.
Believe it or not, this is what all of us, looked like around week 4. This is ground zero. All the raw materials are there, and the construction project of your face is literally just about to kick off. You can already see these distinct ridges and bumps forming. Those are the very first signs of the structures that are going to build your entire head and neck.
Okay, so like any construction project, you can't just start building. You need a plan, right? A blueprint that dictates exactly what goes where. And in our biological build, that blueprint is encoded in a set of structures that are ancient, fundamental, and absolutely essential. These are the pharyngeal arches. You can think of them as like the foundational girders for the whole head and neck. We humans develop 5 of them in that 4th week, and they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. And arch 5? Well, it's kind of the mysterious one. It either doesn't form at all or it just vanishes super quickly. But these other arches, they are the master plan. And here's where it gets really amazing. The organization here is just incredible. Each arch is like its own pre-packaged construction kit. Seriously, it comes with its own artery for blood supply, its own nerve for sensation and control, a piece of cartilage for structure, and all the muscle components it needs. Talk about an efficient system, right? And here you can see the specific job assigned to each kit. Now, while arches 3, 4, and 6 are busy building deeper stuff like your voice box, the main player for our story is right there at the top, arch number 1. Its job is to build the main event, your upper and lower jaws. So how do we get from that blueprint to the actual foundation of the face?
All right, so the blueprint is down. Now it's time to lay the foundation. See, the face isn't built from one single piece. Nope, it's assembled from 5 distinct building blocks that pop up right around the primitive mouth.
And here they are. These 5 colored regions you're looking at are the facial primordia, or prominences. They're basically just swellings of tissue that are about to grow, move, and fuse together. You've got that single frontonasal prominence in green up top, then the 2 maxillary prominences in pink, and the 2 mandibular prominences in blue down at the bottom. So, just to lock it in, 5 key pieces. 1 piece on top that's going to become the forehead and nose, 2 pieces that will form your upper jaw, your cheeks, and your upper lip, and 2 pieces down at the bottom that fuse together to become the lower jaw, your chin, and lower lip. These are our raw materials all ready for assembly.
And now, we get to the most dynamic part of this whole process. This is where the action happens. Those 5 building blocks start to move. It's this incredible, carefully choreographed dance of growth and fusion that has to happen with perfect timing.
Okay, let's hit play on our little time lapse here at stage 16. You can clearly see the separate pieces, right? The 2 little nasal placodes, which are going to become your nostrils, are super far apart. The maxillary prominences are way out on the sides. The face is still in parts, kind of like a model kit waiting to be snapped together.
Now, watch what happens as we move to stage 17. Those maxillary prominences, the future upper jaw, they start growing inward towards the middle. And as they grow, they literally push the developing nose parts together, closing that wide gap we saw just a second ago.
And here, at stage 18, it all comes together. The prominences make contact and they fuse. This one single act of fusion creates the philtrum, that little groove in the middle of your upper lip, and it defines the bridge and tip of the nose. This fusion is the crucial moment that turns all those separate parts into a single, continuous face.
So, the outside of the face is now assembled. And it's starting to look like a face, but the construction isn't finished, not even close. While all that outside sculpting was happening, an equally complex and critical project was going on inside, building the roof of your mouth.
This is a really key moment. We've been looking at the face from the outside, but to really get it, we need to peek inside the developing mouth and see how the spaces for your mouth and nose actually get separated.
Okay, this is a cross-section of a 10-week-old fetus. What you're seeing here are the palatal shelves. Now, these 2 flaps of tissue, they actually start out growing downwards on either side of the tongue. Then, in this really remarkable feat of biological gymnastics, they flip upwards and grow towards each other to fuse right down the middle, forming the palate.
And this whole interior fusion thing happens in two main stages. First, a little triangular piece called the primary palate fuses up at the front. That happens between weeks 6 and 7. Then comes the main event, the fusion of those two big palatal shelves, the secondary palate. That happens around week 9, and once that's done, the separation of your nose and mouth is complete.
So as we wrap up our tour of this tiny construction site, you just have to be blown away by the precision required here. Every single step, the growth, the migration, the fusion, it all has to happen at the exact right time and in the exact right place.
But this delicate process can be disrupted. Things like a cleft lip or a cleft palate happen when these fusions just don't happen completely. And globally, this affects about 1 in every 1,600 births. It's a real-world reminder of just how incredibly intricate this developmental dance truly is.
You know, this quote from our source material really sums it all up perfectly. The face has a complex origin, and because so much is happening so incredibly fast, it's a period of development that is particularly vulnerable to any kind of disruption.
So, from that ancient blueprint of the pharyngeal arches to the 5 foundational building blocks, and finally to those delicate acts of fusion both outside and in, the story of how your face was made is, without a doubt, a masterpiece of biological engineering.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other incredible stories are written in our biology, just waiting for us to read them? Thanks so much for joining me.